Hi guys, today I want to continue my video series on how to survive the economic collapse. And today I want to talk to you about firearms. And I understand that firearms are probably the most controversial type of subject that one could talk about regarding the economic collapse. People have all types of ideas of what is the best firearm for them during the collapse. And I don't really want to get into a big debate or argument on what I think is best. But for people that are like myself, that are not big gun enthusiasts, very strong supporters of the Second Amendment, but just not real keen on all the technicalities of firearms, I just recommend a 12-gauge shotgun. I don't think anybody can argue with that. They're great for home defense. They're great for hunting. Nobody's going to mess with you once you pop that shell into the chamber and they hear the sound of that shotgun go. I don't think that there is any debate when we talk about a 12-gauge shotgun. Sure, people have a great idea of what other type of guns are wonderful for piercing body armor and fending off hordes of oncoming riders. I understand that, but I think a 12-gauge is a very practical choice. The ammunition is relatively inexpensive, they're very powerful, and the shotguns themselves are relatively inexpensive. So I don't want to get into that. There's a much greater threat, I feel, than the type of gun that you can own, and that is called gun registration. See, all throughout history, gun registration was used as a precursor to gun confiscation. And any time that you purchase a gun new at the store, you have to fill out a form having your name and your address, and they know exactly who has the gun that was bought. And if you watch the movie like Red Dawn, for instance, they use the gun registration to confiscate guns away from people. And I think that's a very realistic scenario, whether it's a foreign invader, whether it's our own government. Look, you got a Second Amendment right. You can own firearms no matter what. There is nothing in the Second Amendment talking about a gun registration that's very threatening to your right to bear arms. So in the event of a martial law type scenario, whether it be by our government or whether our government brings in NATO troops or foreign troops or something like that, you need to be able to hide these guns, especially from Blackwater, like in Katrina. And you need to know how to keep yourself under the radar from the government, but you need to do it legally at the same time, because I would never encourage any of you to break the law. And some of my suggestions for purchasing a firearm anonymously is to find states where gun shows can still sell firearms to you for cash. Travel to those states, if it's not your own state, and purchase a firearm from a gun show using cash money. You can also look at things like estate sales. Oftentimes they will sell people's firearms for cash. Another great source would be something like here in North Texas, we have a publication called Green Sheet, and also another one called Thrifty Nickel. You may or may not be familiar with those, but it's just these little local newspapers kind of that they have in mom and pop shops on these little stands, like just take one, it's free. Use those type of publications, and oftentimes you can find firearms in them. But let's talk about other forms of home defense and that are often overlooked. One would be a compound bow, and those are capable of piercing Kevlar armor. There's plenty of videos on YouTube and other places like Hulu of arrows that actually can pierce body armor. They're extremely powerful. People have been known to hunt moose with a compound bow. Also, a crossbow can do the same thing, pierce body armor. They're very powerful, and nobody's going to mess with you if you have a fully loaded crossbow. Other things to think about are big canisters, fire extinguisher sized things of pepper spray if you have to defend your home from an invading horde of people or something like that. Another good source would be, one thing that I tell people, and I get a lot of hell for it, is I encourage them to buy pellet guns. The ammunition is dirt cheap. Pellet guns are extremely powerful, more so than you think. There are videos online of people taking 170-pound hogs down. In fact, I'll put it up here in my information box with a pellet gun. And you can even buy armor-piercing pellets. So you can easily hunt birds, and I've taken down raccoons with pellet guns. Don't overlook a pellet gun. They're really cheap, and you can make sure that it's a break barrel, not just a typical pump. And don't pass off pellet guns as just little Red Ryder BB guns. They're very serious, powerful tools that you could hunt a lot of birds with and game with without making any sound at all. And that would be great for someone like me in a suburban environment. I don't know if it would be my first choice for something like a home defense scenario, but I wouldn't want to be shot by my pellet gun, you know, and if you really want to see how strong it is, just, you know, message me and come over to my house, and I'll show you how strong it is. You can just hold out your hand and I can put a round in your hand with the pellet gun, and you probably would agree with me that you would not want to be shot with it either. So anyhow, a pellet gun would be a great means of having a very cheap method of hunting, especially in a suburban environment or even in the woods. You could take a lot of game down with it. I wouldn't doubt you could kill a turkey with it. I don't know if I'd go after hogs, but I think it'd be a great thing to have that's completely anonymous. The bows and crossbows are also anonymous, so don't forget about those. So anyhow, I guess my message today is you want some type of firearm, you want some means to defend your home, and the type maybe is not as important as that you know how to use it and that you have ammunition. And I guess I've covered everything, and I'll see you next time with another tip on how to survive the economic collapse. Thank you.